Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is October 2nd, 2023, and Joan Laporta will be filing or will be taking legal action against a former commissioner in Spain for the false accusations that have been leveled against him. Also, La Liga have issued an official statement clarifying exactly what happened with the economic levers of Barcelona last summer, since there's been a lot of misconception in today's reporting. And finally, Deco is set to fly off to Brazil in order to meet with Vitor Roque. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News' live stream, which is on every Mondays and Wednesdays, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, I started a little bit later. I do apologize about that, but I did get out of work a little bit late. Now, as always, we'll do a segment of news, then we'll head to the chat section, get the discussion going, answer some questions. And of course, for those of you who will be watching the live stream when it ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline if you want to skip through the discussion. And as always, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the bet us. And if you are looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. Both links are down below in the description. Now, as usual, I do like to do some bits of news, short bits of news combined together. So I will do several bits of news combined together since they're all a little bit too short to be on their own. But let's start with the news, something that I've been telling you about for several videos now, and that's that Lamine Yamal has officially signed his contract extension with Barcelona. Yamal's contract was set to expire in the summer of 2024. And of course, since he's now 16 years old, his contract, this is not only his contract extension, but it's also his first professional contract with Barcelona, because under FIFA rules, you cannot sign an official professional contract in Europe until you turn 16. Now, the reason Yamal has only renewed until 2026 is because under FIFA rules, when you're under 18 years old, you can only extend your contract by 3 years. So that's why. Don't worry, Deco is already in conversation with Jorge Mendes, who's the agent of Lamine Yamal, in order to begin negotiating the next contract extension. So that way, when Lamine Yamal turns 18 in 2025, Barcelona can extend his contract for 5 more years, which will be until 2030. Now, Lamine Yamal will have a €1 billion release clause, just like all the other promising youngsters in Barcelona, like Gavi, Pedri, Ronald Araujo, and Ansu Fati. Now, the next bit of news is that Barcelona have officially released the squad list for Wednesday's match. As you already know, Barcelona are set to face off against Porto in the Champions League match. And I will make this a little bit bigger for you. So Barcelona have officially announced the list of players who will participate in this match. And these players are Ter Stegen, Joan Cancelo, Alejandro Valde, Ronald Araujo, Íñigo Martínez, Gavi, Ferran Torres, Robert Lewandowski, Iñaki Peña, Joao Félix, Andreas Christensen, Marcos Alonso, Oriol Romeo, Sergi Roberto, Ilkay Gundogan, Jules Koundé, Astralaga, Lamine Yamal, Marc Casado, and of course, Fermín López. Now, speaking of this squad list, I do want to discuss 2 names. The first one is of Joao Cancelo, because it was initially thought that Joao Cancelo would be resting on Wednesday against the match in the match against Porto, because he has played 90 minutes of every single match since Joao Cancelo arrived in Barcelona. But apparently, after they conducted medical exams on the Portuguese fullback, turns out his index of fatigue was very low, which was very surprising because, again, he's been playing 90 minutes of every single game, and Barcelona have been playing a match every 2-3 days. And then when Barcelona spoke to the player, he also expressed that he was feeling healthy, that he was feeling good. He wasn't feeling tired or fatigue, which, of course, is extremely impressive and just goes to show to the top shape that Joao Cancelo is currently in. Because, again, he's played 90 minutes of every single match, every 2-3 days, and his index of fatigue is very, very low. So we do expect for Joao Cancelo to start on Wednesday against Porto. Now, the second name that I want to talk about is that of Fermín López, because the Royal Spanish Football Federation have already included him in their pre-list. So in other words, they're considering calling him up to the Spanish under-21 team. And if that does happen, this will be the first time that Fermín López will be called up to the Spanish team. He's never been called up to the Spanish team, regardless of category. So if this happens, it would be his first time in his career. And of course, that's a huge testament to the amazing work that he's been doing. And hopefully we'll get to see Fermín López on Wednesday in the Champions League, because I think he deserves it, because he is pure class and he's been showing us that he has a lot of potential. Now, that's all the bits of news that I wanted to jam up together. Let's start with the chat section. Let's get a discussion going, see what you guys are saying, and then we will talk about Joan Laporta filing or wanting to file legal action against a former Spanish commissioner because of the false accusations that have been leveled against the Barcelona president. All right, let's see what you guys are all saying. Brian, who was already waiting for the stream before it started, says, hey, King says Pedri's back. He's not back. He's training, but he's not back. He won't be back until after the international break, which is in October. Well, we're already in October, but it's expected that he'll be maybe back by Athletic Club match, which is on the 22nd. So yes, he is training, but he's not back. Tim says, hi, answer to that title. Anything Laporta did wrong, if he had anything to do with Rosell going to jail, is that he didn't do more and faster that he would go to jail. That's a very good point, but no, that's not it. Don't worry, that's in the next segment, so stay tuned. I don't want to spoil anything. King says, Julian Araujo is cooking, but came off injury today. Yes, Julian Araujo has been having a good spell with Las Palmas. He did get taken off. It's not been confirmed how serious his injury is. I'll have to wait and see. But I do want to talk about real quick about speaking of loans, because there are currently, Barcelona have both Eric Garcia and Pablo Torre currently on loan with Girona. And for the longest time, I kept saying Eric Garcia is a good defender. Eric Garcia is a good defender. And everybody would just be like, oh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Sell Eric Garcia. He's useless. He's terrible. And then everybody kept saying that Xavi was stupid and an idiot for not using Pablo Torre. And I kept saying, guys, Pablo Torre hasn't proven anything. He has discipline issues. Like, I don't know what's the obsession with him. And well, lo and behold, Eric Garcia is having a phenomenal time with Girona. He's doing absolutely great, which goes to show that he is a great center back, but he wasn't getting enough minutes in Barcelona. And Pablo Torre, who everybody swears that he's the next Messi and that Xavi was stupid for not playing him, guess what? He hasn't started a single match. And he's only played, I think, 70 minutes so far, which goes to show, I don't know, sometimes people get obsessed with players, and I don't understand why. But this is one of those cases that I wanted to mention. All right, Mick Barca says, I wouldn't blame Laporta for being involved in the arrest of Rosell because he sold Laporta and he was corrupt with his buddy Bartomeu. You would blame him once we talk about what he's accused of, because this is completely separate from what Rosell and Bartomeu were doing to Barcelona. But that's a good segue, because let's talk about Joan Laporta and his announcement that he will be taking legal action against the former commissioner, this guy, whose name is Jose Manuel Villarejo. Now, I already mentioned this guy in a previous video several months ago. He was the one who leaked or revealed that when he was investigating Barcelona, he came up across the Enriquez Negreira file, and he also found out that Real Madrid were involved in it. And when he brought it up to the authorities, they said, don't worry about it, just put it away and just leave it be. But to recap who this guy is, Jose Manuel Villarejo is pretty much a law enforcement agent in Spain, or a former law enforcement agent in Spain. Extremely corrupt. He was involved in all kinds of corruption schemes in Spain. He was involved in bribery, involved in blackmail, and he had pretty much tapes and recordings of politicians, of judges being bribed or receiving bribes, etc. It's a whole mess. But I think he's currently in prison. But anyways, he was a former law enforcement agent. Back in 2017, the Catalan independence movement started to gain a lot of steam in Spain. They had started to mobilize, they had started to gain a lot of traction. So the Spanish government, in fear that Catalonia would secede, they hired this guy. He was pretty much the guy who did all the dirty work for the Spanish government. So they hired Jose Manuel Villarejo in order to infiltrate the Catalan independence movement and try to find out as much information as possible, but also to discredit the leaders of the movement by publishing, false rumors, false reports, in order to discredit the leaders of the movement and therefore discredit the entire Catalan independence movement. Now, one of the organizations that Jose Manuel Villarejo was in charge of infiltrating, spying on, and discredit was, of course, FC Barcelona, because FC Barcelona is always linked with the Catalan independence movement. And as part of this whole campaign to destabilize the Catalan independence movement, Sandro Rosell, who was the former president of Barcelona, was unjustly imprisoned for 2 years. Now, Sandro Rosell was in prison under it's called preventative imprisonment. It's when you get jailed while your case is being played out. So for 2 years, he was imprisoned under the accusation that he had received that he was involved in some kind of dirty commissions, receiving commissions for the Copa America TV rights. After 2 years, when the trial began, it took only a few seconds to find out that he was completely innocent. He had nothing to do with that. And it was simply part of this whole Spanish government attempt to completely discredit and destabilize the Catalan independence movement. Well, how is this related to Laporta? Because this guy, Jose Manuel Villarejo, decided to instead accuse Joan Laporta and say that the reason why Sandro Rosell was falsely imprisoned for 2 years was because Joan Laporta had given them a false evidence that led to the arrest of Rosell. So, in other words, Spanish government imprisoned Sandro Rosell knowing that he wasn't guilty in order to destabilize the Catalan independence movement. Turns out to be innocent, and instead of admitting this and saying, sorry, we just, put a guy in prison for 2 years just to achieve this goal, this guy has the audacity of saying, you know what, it was because Laporta, who also happens to be a Barcelona president. So, of course, Joan Laporta has not sat well with Joan Laporta, and he has come out and said that he will be taking legal action against Jose Manuel Villarejo for the false accusations, because Joan Laporta had absolutely nothing to do with the arrest of Sandro Rosell. What happened is that the Spanish government had gotten a tip from the American government, because the American government had opened an investigation into corruption in FIFA, and they had gotten some hints that there had been like something illegal with the commissions of TV rights of FIFA competitions. And of course, the Spanish government used that as an excuse to pin it on Sandro Rosell, to arrest him, to destabilize FC Barcelona, and to destabilize the Catalan movement. And now, instead of admitting the dirty tactics that they did, they are blaming it on Laporta, saying that he's the one who gave them the evidence, which was not true. Laporta had nothing to do with that. So he has announced that he will be taking legal actions, as he should, against Jose Manuel Villarejo. All right, so that is the news about that. And see, this is why I tell you, you would blame Laporta for being involved, because this had nothing to do with Laporta, and Laporta would never do something like that to hurt FC Barcelona and the Catalan movement in helps of, the Spanish government and their attempt to quell the independence movement. All right, Curtis says, Tebas is seriously terrified of Barcelona rising to the top of football again. They can smell it happening. Want to bet Tebas trying to stop Yamal from registering as a first-team player. Yamal has already been registered, so no problem with that. Luke says, good evening to you all. I'm watching from USA. Hope to get my jersey from Barcelona Football Club. If you want to get your jersey, kit bag, they sell all the Barcelona jerseys and they actually ship to the US, unlike the Barcelona store. The link is in the description. If you click on it, it'll take you directly to the store, and you can buy all your Barcelona gear, not just jerseys. And as far as jerseys, you have all of them: the home, away, and the third kit. And then I think they might still have some jerseys from last season as well. Okay, let's see. Meta says, I think Barca is going to be charged with bribery of a civil servant since committee referees is a private entity, but with public utility, and they work directly. They've already been charged, but as many lawyers in Spain have already come out to say, those charges are not going to stick because it makes absolutely no sense. Okay, Tim says Pablo Torres kind of similar as Alan Halovic. Big hype, but his potential get killed by lack of discipline. It's two things: lack of discipline, and another thing. What kills Pablo Torres is that he does not help with defense. And in modern football, players who might be gifted as far as driving the ball, but don't help out with defensive skills, end up not making it. And a big example of that is Riqui Puig, right? Riqui Puig was talented with the ball at his feet, but he never really helped with the recovery of the ball, with pressuring high, with defending, and it didn't work out. Plus, of course, there was disciplinary issues, but that's another thing that hurts Pablo Torre. All right, let's get back to the news because we got more and more lies being spread in the Spanish media, and this time is about the economic levers that Barcelona activated last summer. Now, as you know, Barcelona sold 49% of Barca Studios to two companies called Orpheus Media and Socios.com for a total of 200 million euros, which both companies did not end up paying the full amount. So they only paid 40 out of the 200 million euros. So they didn't pay the other 160 million euros, which is what caused Barcelona to kind of resell part of Barca Studios to the German investment fund Libero, which have also not paid up. I don't know what's going on, but again, Barcelona only received 40 out of the 200 million euros they were supposed to receive for the sale of 49% of Barca Studios to Orpheus Media and Socios.com. Now, the owner of Orpheus Media, and I think Socios.com as well, is his name is Jaume. Can't recall his last name, but anyways, this guy, the owner, did a interview where he discussed the whole non-payment, and of course, Madrid-based media, the mainstream Spanish media, ran with it, and they started spreading reports today, or lies, and they're not even reports at this point. They're straight up lies saying that Barcelona were allowed to register players last summer with the 200 million euros from Barca Studios that they never received. That obviously Barcelona lied, that La Liga are, corrupt. They're in favor of Barcelona, allowing them to register players with 200 million euros that Barcelona did not receive. So that has been the news all in the morning, circulating, talking about economic levers being, a total lie and a corruption and blah, blah, blah. And while later on, La Liga released a statement clarifying that that's not what happened. Barcelona, when they submitted their paperwork so they can get their wage limit and their financial fair play rule restrictions kind of like calculated, yes, they had submitted the 200 million euros that they were supposed to receive from the activation of this economic lever, which is the sale of Barca Studios. But when La Liga confirmed that Barcelona had only received 40 million out of the 200 million euros, they immediately reduced the salary cap of Barcelona, and they reduced how much Barcelona would be able to spend and how much Barcelona would be able to register players. So no, there was no kind of corruption. No, La Liga are not corrupt in favor of Barcelona. No, there was no lie of the economic levers. La Liga were very well aware that Barcelona did not get all the money, and they calculated the financial fair play based on the 40 million that Barcelona received, not on the entire 200 that they were supposed to receive, which at this point, it's like these media outlets are not even trying to seem somewhat legit. I mean, this is just straight up lying, which is mind-blowing and just puts the whole integrity of Spanish media in question because, you're not even trying at this point. You just want to lie and print whatever lie you want without any consequences. And I'm honestly getting tired and sick of it. Anyways, let's get back to the news, and then we will talk about Vitor Roque. Someone says that Vitor Roque is not as fun to say as Joao, and I agree. Saying Joao is much, much more fun. Okay. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Ross, my man. He says, I have heard that Barca is looking for free agents and low coding players, but was not impressed with the list like Sancho and Marshall, Jorginho, Havertz. True or false? All of that is false. The thing is, ever since Laporta took over and Barcelona have been kind of shopping for these free agent deals or low cost players, ever since that's been happening, pretty much every player that becomes a free agent is automatically linked with Barcelona, right? Oh, this player's contract expired. Barcelona want him. Whether the Barcelona do or not, it doesn't matter. You know, a lot of these media outlets just want to get their clicks. They want to sell their papers. So as soon as a player is free agent, boom, oh, Barcelona want him. It's like, Barcelona don't even know this guy. But so no, there's no truth to that. Brad says, why does Real Madrid say La Liga is corrupt? They want to break down their own kangaroo court. I have no idea. And the fact, so I still have like people who come on the channel and like, oh, Barcelona, they're corrupt, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you can say that with a straight face, that tells me three things. And it could be one out of the three things is true, maybe all three things true. Number one, you've never watched La Liga matches. Because if you watch La Liga matches, you can clearly see the favoritism towards Real Madrid. Number two, you understand nothing, absolutely nothing about Spanish politics in the history of Spain, in the history of the Catalan movement. And or three, you're just stupid. So I think it's either a combination of three, maybe one of the three, maybe two or three. But whenever people come and they're like, oh, Real Madrid, they're the victims, and Barcelona, the Liga's corrupt towards them, it's like, it really makes me think one of those three. It's usually the third option, that they're just simply stupid, but the other two also have some weight. Okay, let's see. Young Braveheart says, how do Real get away with all these fouls and handballs? Like, straight cheating. You know, most referees, most people in charge of the committee of referees, most people who are in charge of the Royal Spanish Football Federation, most people in charge of La Liga, they all are either former Real Madrid players, former Real Madrid executives, or former Real Madrid club members. So that is how. That is how, my friend. Okay, Messi's the GOAT says, is it true that Barca are looking to sell Rafinha? No, not at this point. Doesn't mean that they won't consider it later on, but no, at this moment, no. I hope, I wish, but no. All right. Let's get back to the news and then we'll do more comments. Don't worry, guys. But let's get through the news. This is the last bit of news. But let's talk about Vitor Roque, because Deco is set to fly to Brazil in order to meet with the player and to meet with his current club, Atlético Paranaense. Now, as you already know, Vitor Roque suffered an ankle injury, which he will be out for almost 3 months. The good news is he won't require a surgery, but of course he will require conservative treatment and rehabilitation in order to heal from this injury. And since Barcelona are trying to bring him in January, that means that he most likely will not play for Atlético Paranaense ever again. He will be arriving after his injury. Now, because of that, Barcelona have assigned to Deco or told Deco that he needs to fly to Brazil in order to meet with the medical staff of Atlético Paranaense, kind of like interview them, see what kind of treatment is Vitor Roque undergoing, what kind of steps are they taking, what is he doing, what is he not doing, all of that to make sure that Vitor Roque is receiving the best medical care possible and to make sure that his recovery is going well. Because again, he's most likely not going to play Atlético Paranaense. He's going to come straight from being injured. So Barcelona want to make sure that Vitor Roque arrives in Barcelona healthy, healed, and ready to play, and not, you know, a player whose recovery was botched and now Barcelona have to spend another 3 months kind of try to recoup him. Another reason why Deco is flying out, besides to supervise the recovery of Vitor Roque, is to meet with Vitor Roque and his entourage, because he wants to do a couple of things. First of all, he wants to kind of let the player and his entourage know that don't worry, the plan is still to bring you in January, because Vitor Roque is dying to come to Barcelona. So Deco wants to kind of, let him know that it's still the plan, not worry. And of course, he wants to lift the spirits of the player, make sure he's in good spirits, make sure he's, continuing to recover and focus on his recovery. Barcelona will still be here when he's done, that we're all waiting for him, and that we're all excited to have him. So Vitor Roque, as I reported before, he will be coming in January. Barcelona are very sure that he will, especially once they receive those 40 million euros that the German fund Libero still owe them. So once those 40 million euros come, that will be more than enough to register the contract of Vitor Roque. If that money doesn't come through, other plans, but the plan is to bring him in January, and Deco wants to make Vitor Roque understand that that's still the plan. And of course, Deco wants to supervise the recovery of the player to make sure he arrives healthy in Barcelona. All right, we have our first donation of the night, and it's from Young Braveheart, who says, "Thanks, Mo. Keep it up. Let's go, Barca." No, not thanks, Mo. Thank you for your donation and for watching. And yes, let's go, Barca. No matter what they throw at us, whether it's all these bogus charges that they keep filing against Barca, whether all these media campaigns, or whatever lies they want to spread, they cannot stop us. And Chuchu says, "I'm late." You are very late, Chuchu. The live stream is almost over. All right, Messi the GOAT says, "Is it true that Barca are making a move for Haaland?" No, there's no money for Haaland. So not happening. Tim says, "I just can't get rid of bad feeling about Vitor. There is something telling me he will get ruined with injuries or he will be a flop. I hope I am not right. We are in the big need of young striker." I don't share that fear. Vitor Roque is an absolute beast, both not just talent-wise. If you watch any of his highlights or his matches, not only is he an absolute beast with the ball at his feet, but he's also an absolute beast physically speaking. The reason why he got injured is because ever since it was announced that he was coming to Barcelona, he's been getting hit left and right, being kicked. Unfortunately, in smaller leagues, when you have players who spend their whole life there, and now you have an 18-year-old who already made it way further than you're ever gonna make it. Jealousy takes the better of other players, and unfortunately, that's what's been happening. Okay, JC says, "How are you, Barca News? I'm the only one as excited for the new Palau as the Camp Nou. It looks sensational." I think the entire Spy Barca looks sensational, because it's not just the Camp Nou or the Palau. It's going to be one big campus with parks and dining areas and event areas, and the whole area is just going to look absolutely beautiful. If you haven't checked out my video, I did a video when I visited the Camp Nou. Make sure to check it out. It's on the channel. I did some footage. I went to the stadium, took footage of the stadium under renovation, and I am set to go back to Barcelona in April. Hopefully I'll take my camera again and be able to more footage and kind of do a comparison of the last footage I did. And Chuchu with the donation. Thank you, Chuchu. Chuchu says, "Vitor won't be a flop. He's amazing." And I want to say, Casado is an amazing talent. Saw him play for the first time yesterday. Yes, Marc Casado is very, very good. So is Pau Cubarsi, by the way, in Barca Athletic. Man, nobody produces players like Barcelona Academy. Fermin just came up, and then boom, we have another class of players right behind them, who are doing amazing. I think Spain, or the Spanish public and the Spanish media, are in for some painful years, because we already have, Gabi, Pedri, all these guys in the national team, and it hurts Spaniards to see all these Barcelona youngsters in the Spanish team, and now we have even more youngsters right behind them getting ready. So it's gonna be some very painful years for Real Madrid fans to watch their national team getting carried by young Barcelona players. All right, let's see. Chuchu says Kubarsi as well, and Bernal, a 16-year-old CDM. Yes, and yeah, I mean, I would say Faye, but obviously Faye is not a academy player, but lots of talent in Barca Athletic. Brad says, how do Barca Athletic players underperform in a third division? They explode with the first team. Thing is, Barcelona doesn't really take. I don't want to say they don't take it seriously because they obviously do, but Barca Athletic, his main objective is to grow players for the first team. So they're not preoccupied in, doing great and winning trophies. That's not the point of Barca Athletic. The point of Barca Athletic is to bring players from the lower categories, like the under 19, like the Juvenil A, Juvenil B, try them out. Okay, not really that good. Send them back down, or not really that good. Let's sell them. Okay, he's maybe good. Let's try him out in the first team. So it's kind of like a trial and error team, right? Where you're just trying different talent, trying different players, see who has a future, see who doesn't, see who needs to keep bumped down, bumped up, or be sold. So that's why they don't do that well, because they don't have that consistency. They don't have that, because it's a trial and error team, right? If the first team did that and they were just trying out players left and right, we wouldn't win anything either, right? So that is why. Grandmaster Yoda says, what up, Mo? Long time no see. Who do you think Fermin would work the best with in the midfield? I think Lamine Yamal. They have a really good connection, really good chemistry. They really understand each other's movement. So I think Fermin, obviously, I'm not saying that Lamine Yamal and Fermin should play in the mid, but I'm saying that Fermin in the midfield with Lamine on the wing. I said that's quite a combination. All right, let's see. And Tutu says Barca Athletic is to grow players. They're not trying to win everything. Exactly. That's what the point of Barca Athletic. That's why they don't necessarily do that great, because that's not the goal, right? They're not in it to win it. They're in it to make the first team win, if that makes sense. Anyways, that is all the news for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, your donations. I will see you in tomorrow's video, and on Wednesday, I will be home, working from home. So I will do a post-match live stream. Hopefully it'll be a good live stream, and we will all be celebrating a great win. But having said that, good night, good morning, wherever you are. And as always, I cannot end the live stream without saying, Visca Barça.